Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Living Better with Joe and Kat. This is podcast number 4, and in today's podcast, we're going to be talking about the 5 love languages. How's it going, Joey and Kat?
It's going great today.
It is going great.
Today we're going to be talking about love languages, but I want to give you a little bit of back history of how we've gotten there. Joey and I have been married for about 32 years, something like that, and we have definitely made our way through all those years, but recently we've discovered that we need a little bit of help, and so we've sought some counseling so that we can improve our communication. And the 5 love languages was a part of our summaries for trying to identify with each other. And so now I'm going to turn it over to Joey because he's done extensive research and he wants to get started with an intro.
Hey guys, today we're going to be talking about, like Kat said, the 5 love languages, and we will be talking about what their 5 love languages mean to me and Kat. I stumbled across this book when I was reading the book Why We Do the Things We Do, and it was by Dr. Gary Chapman. And I learned about the 5 love languages, and I was interested to find out what mine were. So here we go. Here's the first one. And the first one is called words of affirmation. And to me, what that means is using words to affirm the other person. Example, you look really nice in that dress today. Kat, what does that mean to you?
Well, actions don't always speak louder than words. And I mean, there is that common phrase, action does speak louder than words. But for someone that responds well to words of affirmation, it speaks to just compliments, or like it meant something to me that you said that, thought that, did that. When I can remember somebody paying me a compliment when I was younger, and it was probably one of the first times that I can consciously remember receiving a compliment, and I just remember how flattered I was by it, and it had something to do with a characteristic of mine, not about my looks. It was about a characteristic. So it's nice sometimes to get feedback from other people, what they observe about you.
Absolutely.
And, along with words of affirmation, people that connect strongly with this love language, insults are devastating.
Destructive.
So if your partner first of all, I think we should, honor the spirit in each person and each living thing, and try not to be insulting or derogatory. But somebody that really connects highly to words of affirmation, whenever you insult them or just share ugly words, it can really shatter them, and they're not forgotten easily.
Very good. Well, let's move on to number 2. And number 2 is called receiving gifts. And my example is, they were thinking about me and, look what they got me. We always say that this is the thought that counts. And it's not how expensive the gift was. It's not the thought that left in your head. It's the gift that came out of the thought in your head. Kathy, what's your thoughts on that?
Well, I think it's really easy to mistake the receiving gifts section for materialistic behavior. This has nothing to do with materialism, because you could pick a flower that's on the side of, a walkway, and that can be a gift given and a gift received. So it's more about the thoughtlessness and the effort behind the gift than it is about just materialistic gift giving. I
would agree with that.
I know that, when I was younger, I always got really tickled whenever somebody would remember me. I grew up in a fairly poor household, and getting gifts was like really birthdays and Christmas only.
Was really special.
So for someone to just come out of the blue with a little, oh, I thought about you, and give me something, it just made my day. And so receiving gifts when I took the quiz wasn't high on my scores, But I do remember, I think that you can feel all of these love languages. It's just which ones speak to you the loudest. But in talking about receiving gifts, if somebody is very connected to that style, and I can think of a couple of girlfriends that I have that this is a high love language for them. It really hurts their feelings if you forget them, like on a birthday, or an anniversary, or if it's obvious that you just threw something together and there wasn't a lot of thought behind it. Mm-hmm. So, receiving gifts has it's not about materialism. It's more about the thoughtfulness and the gesture. And so if your partner or friends connect to that, I think it's very important that you intentionally remember and you put a lot of thought behind even a small gesture, because that means a lot.
It does. It does. Anything else you want to add on that
What do you have to say about it?
I'm not one into really receiving gifts, so I'm excited when you get me a gift, but that wasn't very high on my quiz either.
Yeah.
So.
And I think too that, because it was something that I was before I met you, I have morphed into not having receiving gifts high on my expectation, because it's not something that you connect with. So it's not something that you do.
That's true.
And so I have found that I have accommodated my authentic love languages more to match yours, because we've been together for so long.
Very good. Okay, well, let's move on to number 3. And then number 3 is quality of time. Giving your person your undivided attention. Excuse me. Like sitting on the couch and talking with each other, sharing life with each other, asking questions, or taking a walk down the road and just visiting. It's just giving them their undivided attention. So what's your perspective on that?
Well, I connect highly to quality time. Time is something that you can never get back. It really is one of our most precious resources. And to give somebody your time is a high level of respect, but to also receive somebody's attention and their quality of time, because our clock is ticking from the time we're born, and it's a finite resource. You can't get back time lost. I know that when we moved out to Oregon, I remember saying to my mom, it makes me really sad that when you die, my children aren't going to cry for you the way I'm going to cry for you.
Because she lived in Oklahoma. She wasn't out here.
Because of the distance that we had. And I truly felt, and I told her, I said, I feel like any time that you spend away from a loved one
is time lost.
Is wasted time.
Yeah.
And I truly feel that way. And so that's why the relationships that are important to me, I go out of my way to at least check in if I haven't heard from them for a while. And it's because I don't want to lose track of each other. And time is important, and you can't get it back. Once spent, it's spent.
Yeah, and it's like my parents. My mom never knew my son or my daughter, or our son and our daughter, and neither did my dad.
And that was due to dysfunctional family dynamics.
Right. And it's sad for them, because I'm very proud of my son and where he's at today and what he's doing with his life, as well as my daughter. And the only one in my family that really, that's really, I guess, kind of connected and had anything to do with my kids is my brother back in Oklahoma. And he's taken the time to fly out and see their world and see
right.
their
And
life.
when we had family emergencies, he dropped everything and came.
Yeah.
So time is precious.
Yeah.
And when it comes to people that do have a high respect for quality time, it's very disappointing and very hurtful if there's distractions. Like, say, you think you're having a conversation with somebody and they can't even repeat back what you just said. Because, and that's very hurtful. Or if you're postponing dates, or if there's just, the failure to listen is very hurtful for people that connect on quality time. Because quality is the key caveat to that.
Well, and I feel like that we spend a lot of quality time together. Just about every day we're sitting on the couch visiting with each other, and
I would say we spend time together. The quality sometimes can vary.
Mm-hmm.
I enjoy quality time. It's one of my higher
priorities.
checkoffs.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right. Okay, so we're going to move on to the next one, and number 4 is acts of service, and I scored very high on this because it's, I love helping people when I can. I even like helping my wife. If I can make her life easier, I want to make her life easier. And that falls into doing things for other people that they would like, which could be cooking meals, doing the dishes, vacuuming, mowing the yard, walking the dog, taking the trash out. And the old saying says, action speaks words louder than words. So I feel like that, I do a lot to do the acts of service for you and other people. How do you feel about that?
Well, you have to remember when we're talking about the 5 love languages, it's, we not only send out love, but we also receive love. And acts of service are pretty important because it's really anything that you can do to ease the burden or responsibilities that weigh on someone. Mm-hmm. I absolutely appreciate it when, you just see the trash needs to go out and you just take it out. It's not something that I have to ask. Mm-hmm. And I know that you've mentioned that it means a lot to you when you come in from a long night work and there's something, the house smells good because I've been cooking something.
Mm-hmm. And guys, I have to tell you, my wife is the best ever. She cooks great dishes.
But, it's acts of service can go along with just everyday things. And, I personally am a person that connects to acts of service. And because that's how you show your love for me. And so I receive your love that way. I know that I would never be able to be with somebody that was lazy or somebody that would break their commitments because it just tells me that, how I feel doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm. That's true.
And, so to support somebody with acts of service, maybe vacuum the floors and ease their burden a little bit.
Make their life a little easier.
Or go fill that car up with gas or wash their car for them.
Or put new windshield wipers on.
Yeah, hint, hint. And we're in the middle of winter right now, so my windshield wipers go squeak, squeak.
Yeah, so does mine. All right, anything else you want to add to that? Before we move on to the next one?
No, I'm pretty content with talking about, just what can go wrong if you don't, on the acts of service, laziness and broken commitments and just making more work for someone else. That can really be destructive for that love language.
Yeah. Okay, guys. The next one we're moving on to, which is the last one, is physical touch. And I scored very, very high on this one. But the meaning of that is just holding hands, putting your arm on her shoulder, putting your hand on her knee. So, out of the 5 love languages, each of us has a primary. 1 out of 5 speaks more deeply to us emotionally than the other 4. But you can receive love in all 5. What's your thoughts on that?
It's physical touch isn't just about the bedroom. It is about just how you can be touched in other ways and
still connect.
Right, but it's not about like deep connection.
Right.
Like even if you're hanging out with a little kid and, just giving them a hug or, if they fall down and you scoop them up and, you have your hand on near the area that got hurt and you're really just empathizing with them that they got hurt. There's lots of ways, hugs, pats on the backs, holding hands. It's not all about the bedroom.
That's true.
And physical presence and accessibility are important. And if there's ever, for somebody that does connect with physical touch, if there's ever neglect or abuse, that can be really unforgivable and destructive.
Yep.
So if you know that your partner connects with physical touch, you want to be real mindful to not be neglectful or even abusive about approaching that.
I agree with that. And seldom that two people have the same love language, but it can happen. If you do not have the same love language, it should make it easier on both of you. Don't assume your person or partner has the same love language.
Well, there's a quiz that you can go to Google, and it's called, I think you can get there with just typing in 5 love languages, and there's quizzes that you can connect on the links, and you can take the quiz so that you can identify where your strengths are. And it also lets you know just an idea of where things that aren't so important to you are for receiving the 5 love languages.
Mm-hmm. Well, I just found it interesting to take the quiz just to find out where we were at and where you're at, and now we know.
Yeah.
So I encourage you guys, if you want to, go online, like Kat said, you can go to Google and type in the 5 love language test quiz, and take it and see where you're at. Let's see what your thoughts are on it. So
yeah. Well, anyway, I want to talk a little bit about what's coming up on Man Monday, January 27th. Joey's going to be doing a product review. And then on Women Wednesday, January 29th, I am going to go step by step of how I like to make homemade body lotion.
all right, that sounds interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, well,
And I just want to remind everybody that you can find us on YouTube under Living Better with Joe and Kat. We're also on the Apple Podcast and Google Podcast. And I just want to say thank you, Joey. He's sitting here making weird gestures at me.
only out of love.
Yeah. Well, we're here because we want to help others and ourselves live better with love, peace, and happiness.
Thanks, guys. You guys stay warm, and we will see you next week.